in kind of helping them lose this game. Natasha Cloud was a pivotal member and received a lot of help from the referees in beating Caitlin Clark. Now, we know she reached her hand in there, ultimately fouled Caitlin Clark at the three-point line. She was supposed to get 3 threes. It was a no-call situation. New York Liberty wins the ball game. Well, that was not the case on this go-around. Caitlin Clark came out ready to play. She had missed about 4 games, and I'm telling you right now, she made
Following Caitlin Clark's dominant 32-point, 8-rebound, 9-assist performance against the New York Liberty, opposing players have begun sharing their perspectives on the challenges of defending her exceptional abilities. New York Liberty guard Natasha Cloud has become particularly vocal about the difficulties teams face when attempting to contain Clark's offensive impact. The recent matchup between Indiana Fever and New York Liberty marked a significant reversal from their previous encounter. During their last meeting, Cloud played a crucial role in limiting Clark's effectiveness, with questionable officiating contributing to the Liberty's victory. A controversial non-call on a 3-point attempt where Cloud made contact with Clark influenced the game's outcome, allowing New York to secure the win.
Hell to pay for the New York Liberty. Breanna Stewart was getting bust from nearly half court. Sabrina Ionescu was getting bust, but Natasha Cloud was getting cooked like a good Sunday dinner because Caitlin Clark was unguardable the whole damn game. Now, here's the thing here. The New York Liberty was supposed to be the #1 defensive team in the W. So if that is the case,
However, Clark's return from injury absence created entirely different circumstances. After missing approximately 4 games due to physical recovery, Clark demonstrated no signs of competitive rust while systematically dismantling the Liberty's defensive schemes. Her performance targeted multiple defenders including Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, but Cloud appeared particularly vulnerable to Clark's offensive arsenal. The Liberty entered the game with reputation as the league's premier defensive unit, making Clark's offensive explosion even more significant. Her ability to easily penetrate and score against the top-ranked defense suggests that few teams possess adequate personnel or schemes to effectively contain her when operating within Indiana's offensive system.
and Caitlin Clark easily destroyed that team. You know what that means? That means when Caitlin Clark is inputted into this offense of the Indiana Fever, they are the #1 offense in the W. That's what that means. That means that I don't believe there's any team in this damn country, let alone the world, that could guard Caitlin Clark when she's.
Cloud's social media commentary provided candid assessment of the impossibility of defending Clark's shooting range. She emphasized that once Clark crosses half court, she becomes an immediate scoring threat from any location on the court. This reality creates unprecedented defensive challenges that extend traditional basketball coverage principles. The comparison to Stephen Curry's impact on NBA defensive strategies proves particularly relevant. Just as NBA teams never fully solved the puzzle of containing Curry's range and accuracy, WNBA defenses face similar systemic challenges when confronting Clark's shooting ability. Her willingness and capability to attempt successful shots from extreme distances forces defensive adjustments that create vulnerabilities elsewhere.
Implemented in this offense, and she's running a read and react offense, not the motion. Now, if you guys are paying close attention to a lot of those plays that was happening, Caitlin Clark told Stephanie White, you know what? Thanks, but I'm back and we finna run it the way I want to run it. Caitlin Clark was not playing off ball last game.
Traditional defensive coverage relies on statistical probability and court geography to influence shot selection. However, when players like Clark demonstrate consistent accuracy from distances that typically represent low percentage attempts, conventional defensive wisdom becomes obsolete. Teams must extend their defensive coverage to unprecedented areas, while still protecting against drives and standard offensive sets. Cloud's honest assessment acknowledged that defensive strategies ultimately depend on hoping for missed shots rather than preventing quality scoring opportunities. This represents a fundamental shift in defensive philosophy, where containment replaces prevention as the primary objective.
Caitlin Clark was playing read and react on ball basketball, baby. She said, give me the ball and watch me cook. You guys remember that pass he gave Aaliyah Boston from damn near full court? Yes, that was let me cook moment. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a whole lot of let me cook moment as they climb their way back into pretty much the conversation of this WNBA championship.
Clark's performance demonstrated significant evolution in her integration with Indiana's offensive schemes. Rather than operating within structured motion offense patterns, she appeared to implement read and react principles that maximize her individual decision-making capabilities. This strategic adjustment allows her greater freedom to exploit defensive weaknesses while creating opportunities for teammates. The transition from off-ball movement to primary ball handling responsibilities reflects coaching staff recognition of Clark's unique abilities. Coach Stephanie White's willingness to adapt offensive philosophy around Clark's strengths suggests organizational commitment to maximizing her impact on team success.
See, a lot of people had to change their take. A lot of people had to go about this thing a totally different way. But one thing I can assure you, Caitlin Clark made it her business to let it be known she's back and she's in full effect. Let's check out what Natasha Howard had to say on TikTok, because just like I stated, man, a lot of people have been asking questions.
Several specific plays highlighted this strategic evolution, including a remarkable full-court pass to teammate Lexi Hull that demonstrated Clark's court vision and anticipation. Such moments reflect her ability to create scoring opportunities for others while maintaining her individual offensive threat level. The implementation of read and react principles transforms Indiana's offensive potential significantly. When Clark operates as primary decision-maker with freedom to attack defensive weaknesses, the Fever become capable of competing with any team in the league, regardless of opponent quality or defensive reputation.
Wondering, hell, what was it like guarding Caitlin Clark when she put up 32, 8, and 9 on you, bro? Like, what the hell? What was it like? Let me blow this up real quick. Excuse the language, because she is going to say some pretty strong language.
Clark's accumulation of games with significant scoring and assist contributions places her among elite company in WNBA history. Her current pace suggests potential to challenge established records held by legendary players like Diana Taurasi, who maintains the standard for versatile offensive excellence. Current statistical projections indicate Clark may surpass numerous scoring and assist records within her first 5 professional seasons. Her combination of individual scoring ability and playmaking creativity creates dual threats that few players in league history have sustained over extended periods.
Let's pull this up. Play this.
It's literally when she crosses half court, she can shoot that shit. Yeah. Right now, I have my lid on the.
It's just that simple. When she crosses half court, she could shoot that thing. She can shoot it from Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. It don't matter.
The comparison between Clark and Taurasi extends beyond pure statistics to encompass impact on team success and league visibility. While Taurasi's Olympic achievements may remain unmatched, Clark's influence on viewership, attendance, and overall league growth could establish different but equally significant legacy markers. Statistical analysis reveals Clark's efficiency metrics complement her volume production, indicating sustainable excellence rather than temporary hot streaks. Her ability to maintain accuracy while attempting high-difficulty shots suggests continued improvement potential as she gains experience within professional competition.
So lads, today we're going to be talking about something that I think was shown last night. I've actually got no idea. I've legitimately got no idea when this was. I think it was last night. But I've had this bookmarked since yesterday to make this a video.
Indiana's next scheduled opponent, Connecticut Sun, represents another significant test of Clark's continued excellence following her return from injury. The Sun previously defeated Indiana during a period when the Fever struggled with consistency and identity issues early in the season. Connecticut's attempt to adopt Indiana's motivational phrases for their own promotional materials creates additional competitive tension beyond standard regular season implications. Such psychological gamesmanship typically indicates heightened stakes and emotional investment from both organizations.
And obviously, I think it's a big one. So there's been a couple of players that have very much been big for, as far as like quote unquote Caitlin Clark rivals. There's been a few of them. And by the way, like Natasha Cloud has never, as far as I'm aware, said a negative thing about Caitlin Clark. The closest thing she's ever said.
The Suns' defensive personnel and schemes present different challenges compared to New York's approach, requiring Clark and her teammates to make appropriate tactical adjustments. Connecticut's willingness to employ physical defensive pressure and switching schemes could test Indiana's ability to maintain offensive flow and execution. Clark's performance against Connecticut will provide additional data regarding her consistency following extended absence and her ability to adapt to varying defensive approaches. Sustained excellence against multiple opponents with different strategic emphases would further validate her status as the league's most impactful offensive player. The defensive challenges created by Clark's unique abilities force league-wide strategic evolution as teams attempt to develop effective countermeasures. Traditional defensive principles require modification when confronting players capable of consistent accuracy from extreme shooting distances. Cloud's public acknowledgement of Clark's defensive impact reflects broader recognition among players regarding the fundamental challenges she presents. Such honest assessment from opposing players validates Clark's exceptional abilities while highlighting the competitive respect she has earned through performance. The ripple effects of Clark's offensive capabilities extend beyond individual matchups to influence team construction and strategic planning throughout the league. Organizations must consider how their personnel and defensive schemes match up against Indiana specifically while maintaining effectiveness against other opponents. These developments suggest potential long-term changes in how teams approach roster construction, coaching strategies, and player development priorities. The need to defend unique talents like Clark may influence draft decisions and free agency priorities as organizations seek players capable of matching her impact level. Recent commentary from a respected WNBA defender has provided insight into the exceptional challenges posed by certain elite players in women's professional basketball. The discussion centers around defensive strategies and the unique difficulties encountered when facing players with extraordinary range and versatility. Natasha Cloud, recognized as one of the premier defenders in women's professional basketball, recently addressed the most difficult aspect of defending against Caitlin Clark. According to Cloud's assessment, the primary challenge emerges immediately when Clark crosses the half-court line, as she possesses the capability to attempt successful shots from that distance.
Negative about Caitlin Clark was liking the Mystics owner saying that Caitlin Clark shouldn't have been on the Time magazine cover. That should have been the entire WNBA. But like, if we're being honest, like I can guarantee you that there were more people. And also, in fairness, she did actually like the post saying it was unsafe for Angel to play in Chicago. So maybe the opinions on Natasha Cloud changed for that. But her direct opinions with Caitlin have never been bad. There's never been bad direct opinions. But today she talked a little bit about Caitlin, and
This observation carries significant weight given Cloud's reputation and defensive credentials within the league. Her analysis represents professional insight from someone who regularly faces elite competition and understands the strategic complexities of high-level defensive schemes. Cloud's relationship with Clark has remained professionally respectful throughout their careers. While Cloud has occasionally engaged with social media content related to league discussions, her direct commentary about Clark has consistently focused on basketball-related observations rather than personal criticism. The defensive expert's acknowledgement of Clark's unique challenges validates observations about gravitational effects that certain players create on opposing defenses. This concept suggests that a player's mere presence on the court fundamentally alters how defenses must approach their strategic planning. Previous commentary from various analysts and former players had suggested that elite defenders like Cloud would successfully contain Clark's effectiveness through traditional defensive methods. These predictions focused on conventional defensive approaches that rely on physical pressure and standard coverage techniques. However, actual game experiences have demonstrated the limitations of traditional defensive strategies when facing players with exceptional range capabilities. The theoretical approaches discussed before Clark's professional debut have proven insufficient against her practical offensive abilities. Cloud's acknowledgement of the 30-foot challenge represents a significant evolution in defensive thinking. Traditional basketball defensive principles assume certain safe zones where offensive players pose minimal immediate threats. Clark's range eliminates these conventional assumptions. The comparison to historical basketball scenarios illustrates similar challenges faced by defenders across different eras. Michael Jordan's theoretical approach to defending LeBron James based on tendencies demonstrates how even legendary players sometimes underestimate adaptability and situational awareness. Cloud's defensive approach has evolved to address the unique challenges posed by Clark's capabilities. Video evidence evidence shows instances where Cloud abandoned traditional defensive priorities to address the long-range threat, including situations where she left other players unguarded to contest potential 30-foot attempts. One notable example involved a fast break situation where Cloud guarded Aaliyah Boston near the free throw line while Clark advanced uncontested from beyond 30 feet. Cloud made the strategic decision to abandon the traditional defensive assignment and sprint toward Clark, conceding an uncontested layup rather than allowing a potential long-range attempt.
Something that I want to talk about yesterday because it backed up a lot of my points that I've said. Caitlin Clark scares the bejesus out of other teams. And that's the thing. That is her biggest thing. I've always said this, where it's like Caitlin Clark's gravity is almost as good as Caitlin Clark the player. So here's what Natasha Cloud has said about Caitlin Clark, but the toughest part of guarding her. Let's take a listen.
Is literally when she crosses half court, she can shoot that shit. Yeah. Right now.
And look, she obviously is trying not to talk too much about Caitlin. It's her stream. That's just a 7-second long.
This decision-making process illustrates the psychological and strategic impact that extreme shooting range creates for opposing defenses. Traditional defensive mathematics suggest that conceding layups to prevent three-point attempts represents poor strategic thinking, yet Cloud's choice reflects the reality of facing unprecedented shooting range. The defensive strategy demonstrates how certain players force opponents to recalculate traditional risk assessment approaches. Standard defensive principles assume predictable offensive capabilities and threat zones, but exceptional range eliminates these foundational assumptions. Cloud's commentary about guarding from half-court distances reflects the practical reality of defending against players with extraordinary range. Traditional defensive spacing assumes that players beyond certain distances pose minimal immediate scoring threats, allowing defenders to provide help defense or focus on other responsibilities. When offensive players can successfully shoot from 30 feet or beyond, defenders must extend their coverage to unprecedented distances. This extension creates cascading effects throughout defensive schemes, as help defenders must account for additional space and rotational responsibilities become more complex. The extended coverage requirements fundamentally alter team defensive dynamics. When one defender must cover extreme distances, it reduces the defensive team's ability to provide help defense, contest other offensive actions, or maintain traditional rotational patterns. Professional defenders like Cloud must balance aggressive coverage of extreme range against the risk of overcommitting and creating advantages for other offensive players. This balance requires split-second decision-making and exceptional defensive instincts.